Good evening. Welcome to the Dawsonville City Council Candidate Forum. I'm Christy Moore, and I serve as the president of the Dawson County Chamber of Commerce. A main area of focus of the Chamber's Destination 2020 plan, which is our strategic plan that outlines what the Chamber plans to accomplish over the next 3 years, is to continually advocate for our members and to be the voice of business for our community. According to the city's website, the 2018-2019 approved budget is just over $5.7 million. Of that budget, the portion of special purpose local option sales tax and local option sales tax, known as SPLOST and LOST, received by the city makes up 39.7% of the budget, which is almost $2.3 million. These funds are directly attributable to business and do not include the licensing fees and infrastructure investment that businesses must pay to do business in the city. These businesses directly generate the income that pays for new sidewalks, improved park facilities, and even this beautiful school that we are currently in. As a resident of the city of Dawsonville, I am grateful to the business community for carrying this heavy load so that city residents do not have to pay additional property tax. That being said, it is extremely important that we elect leaders that not only recognize the tremendous impact that our business community has, but also listen and work with the drivers of our local economy to ensure that we remain and even improve our entrepreneurial and business-friendly status. Before we get started, I would like to express our appreciation to Dawson County High School and specifically Neil Harrison for allowing us the use of this beautiful facility. Please note that the Chamber does not endorse a particular party nor particular candidates. We have worked diligently to ensure that tonight's forum is fair to the participants and informative to our members and the audience. Questions were predetermined by the committee and were taken from questions that were submitted by Chamber members. If you are unable to stay for the entire forum or would like to share this forum with other residents, the video will be posted to our Chamber's YouTube and Facebook pages. For this forum, each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves, 2 minutes to respond to each question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. Candidates have not been given the questions prior to this evening. As mentioned previously, all candidates on the ballot are seated on the stage. Questions will be answered first by the candidates running for mayor, followed by the candidates for posts 1 and 3. Opening statements will be given in alphabetical order. Each following question will be answered by the next candidate in alphabetical order. Our panelists who will be asking questions are Adam Smith and Mandy Power, who are serving as the co-chairs of the Dawson County Chamber Board for 2019. Our timekeepers are Melissa Mayton and Betsy McGriff. Betsy will hold up warning signs when you have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and when your time has run out. We will strictly enforce the time limit. Audience members, please hold all applause until the end of the forum. We will begin with opening statements. You each have 3 minutes, and we will begin with Mike Eason.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event to give the citizens of Dawsonville an opportunity to meet all of the candidates, both for mayor as well as those going to serve as their council members for the next 4 years. This is a fabulous facility, and I thank the Board of Education for allowing us to come and be here tonight. I thank these members of the Chamber who put together the questions and who will helping us ask the questions. I want to take a minute to talk about me a little bit, introduce myself to you. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and attended elementary school there. I moved to Atlanta in 1963. I graduated from my public high school, Sylvan High School, South Atlanta. Then in 1969, I went to work for the city of Atlanta in the surveying and street engineering department. In 1971, I went to work for the GBI, where I remained for a little over 30 years. During that time, I served as a supervisor for over 25 years in the GBI. I supervised major events and activities from the Democratic Convention to the Olympic Games to public corruption and drug investigations all over Georgia. During the time I was at GBI, I finished my degree at Brunel University in public administration and criminal justice. After I retired from the GBI, I was asked to be the police chief in Cumming, where I served for 4 years. And following that, I was asked by an individual to manage his electronic monitoring company that monitored defendants on ankle monitors all over Georgia, and we subsequently opened South Carolina offices. I did that for about 6 years. Then I retired. My wife and I planned to travel around the country and just enjoy myself. During the 40 years in public administration business, I learned a lot about government, a lot about managing people, about managing budgets and operations. And I feel like I brought a lot of that success to the city of Dawsonville. I married my wife in 1975, and we moved to Cumming, where we resided from 1975 all the way up till 2012, and I moved to Dawsonville. I wanted to let you know where I came from and what my background was. We've had a lot happening here in the city of Dawsonville. We're growing exponentially. It's the number of residents are growing every day. We've got a lot of projects. As Ms. Moore mentioned, the splash funds are used in the city to help us fund special projects like the Main Street Park, which is underway, the farmers market, and other items. I want you to know we have an open government. You're welcome to come see me anytime. After the election cycle's over, I'll resume my coffee with the mayor on the first Saturday of every month in City Hall lobby. I won't be doing it during the election, but after that, come in and see me, call me, and we'll be glad to talk. We have an open and honest government. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
I would also like to begin by thanking the Dawson County Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event. Everyone who was involved with coming up with the questions is truly important for our democracy, that we hear from each candidate for each position before the election. I'll also begin by giving you a little bit of background about myself. I'm the son of 2 small business owners in Northwest Tennessee. After I grew up and went to college at the University of Tennessee at Martin, I got a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Tennessee at Martin. I moved to Nashville and worked in corporate insurance for the 3rd largest broker in the world, Willis Towers Watson, for a few years before I met my wife in Nashville. We moved down to Dahlonega to run the family businesses down in Dahlonega. Now we live in Gold Creek with our 2 cats, and we're looking to expand our family via adoption next year. What I believe in government is common sense government with less regulations and more transparency. You want to be able to see what government does and why they do it, not only what government does. Transparency is very important in local and federal government. I also believe in empowering small businesses to join our square in our community, as it's truly the lifeblood of Dawsonville, especially whenever the county does provide a lot of resources for our city with the 400 corridor and the business dealings there. I believe my acumen as a business, I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Place Properties. We have a hotel, the Dahlonega Square Hotel, as well as a self-storage facility, the All-Safe Secure Self-Storage, an events venue, the 1888 House, as well as multiple convenience stores. I want to bring my business acumen, my business experience to Dawsonville and use that to propel us into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Hello, my name is Caleb Phillips. Thank you for everyone that come out tonight. Thank you to the Chamber for putting this on. Come January, this will be 5.5 years I've served on the council. In the last 5.5 years, we've accomplished a lot of things. Still have a lot left to accomplish. It's been a great honor to serve the citizens of Dawsonville. A few of the things that we've accomplished is phase 1 of the park's finished. The farmers market's going strong. We've completed a lot of sidewalks. There's still a lot more sidewalks to complete to be able to have the whole city connected. We did digitized mapping for all of our water and sewer systems. We've continued to roll the millage rate back to 0 every year. Food truck night has been a huge success. The Christmas tree lighting in partnership with the Chamber every year is a huge thing. And we're now live streaming all of our meetings. And all this was definitely not because of me. It's a team effort from all the council members, the mayor, and especially the city staff. We have a great city staff that helps implement all the things that we do. I look forward to serving the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
Good afternoon. My name is John Walden. I've been here part of the Dawson County community for the past 34 years. I have lived in the city. This November will be 5 years living in the city of Dawsonville. In all these many years, I've seen a lot of things changed and all that. first things, I'm very blessed to have my wife and kids here tonight. Me and my wife, we've been married over 18 years, and I'm very blessed to have her. She's been a strong support for me in everything that I do. And I got 3 beautiful daughters, which is Hannah, Gracie, and Abigail, which are in the back, and they're behaving, thank the Lord. But I'm just, I have a great vision for the city of Dawsonville, but I know it takes a lot of things to get accomplished, but it's going to take teamwork. And I'm hoping I've got over 20 plus years in engineering, design engineering, and civil and so forth. So I look at things probably a little different way than other people does. But I hope my background, expertise, and everything I can bring to the table help things for the city of Dawsonville, because I got love for it. I love this town, and I want to see it be took care of the right way.
Thank you. We'll now move to the question portion of the evening. We'll begin with Adam Smith.
All right, first question. Beyond attendance of city council meetings, what do you believe the role of a mayor should be? We'll begin with Durant Wright.
I believe the role of the mayor should be to work with businesses and work with the DDA to try to make the city of Dawsonville a safe place for everyone to operate their businesses and to live. I believe the role of mayor is to oversee an open and honest government and to be as transparent as possible on decisions that are being made in the government. I believe the role of mayor is to be an advocate for the city, regardless whether in the city hall or out on the streets.
Thank you. Mr. Eason?
Okay, thank you. Of course, the mayor is the chief executive officer of the city, and as such, you have to run the meetings, you have to set up the agenda and establish order and structure for those meetings. And that's a very important thing, to try to get what's on the agenda and have it prepared so everyone gets it early enough to review it and have an opportunity at the council level to make a decision. We also have a representative, as the representative of the city, I attend as many meetings as possible to try to integrate our city into the county, to the state, and other entities. We work closely with the chamber. I'm at all the chamber ribbon cuttings that I can attend, and all the chamber meetings possible. And we have an obligation to communicate with our citizens, and that's what I try to do. I try to talk to people. I try to hear what the people in the city want to say, and make sure they understand why things are done. That's one of the biggest problems as mayor or as an elected official, is the citizens don't understand what's going on until you explain all the details of it. They don't support it. But once you talk to someone and make communications key, which is what the mayor does a lot of, and the city council does as well, it helps them understand what we're doing and why we're doing what's going on in the city. And thank you.
Yeah, this is for council. Beyond attendance of city council meetings, what do you believe the role of a city council member should be? We'll begin with John Walden.
I think the role for a city council member should be where people of the city can come up, approach, and talk to them, and if there's a problem, whatever, try to help them out either way. Regardless of where they live, if they live in the county, try to be that liaison to help them, to lead them in the right direction and be an example and be able to listen and hopefully to answer the question. If not, go beyond the extra mile to get an answer for the citizens and so forth. So I know each role in the city is very important, and whatever we do, our actions, whatever, it reflects the city. And so I think we should try to be the best that we can be and be helpful as much as we can be.
Kind of along the same lines, I think it's being available, helping people. There's not a day goes by, there's not emails, phone calls, trying to help people with their problems. Some of them just want to know about their trash can, why it didn't get picked up. Others more intense stuff, but I think our goal is to try to help the citizens and to move the city's interests forward at all times, whether that be meetings, emails, phone calls, just working as a team to accomplish where we're trying to go.
All right, question number 2. Governments have an equal obligation to be fiscally responsible and to provide services to their citizens. Currently, the city has over 100% fund balance in reserves. Do you believe this is the best utilization of taxpayer dollars? If not, What kind of capital infrastructure improvements and services do you think the city should be providing that is not, that it is not already? And we will start with Mike Eason.
Thank you. Yes, we have over 100%, but what you got to understand, we have 3 operating funds. We have our enterprise system, which is our water and sewer operations. Money from enterprise systems can't be used anywhere other than water and sewer. We also have the SPLOSH fund, and the SPLOSH funds are dedicated to the SPLOSH projects that are approved in the referendum by the voters. And the third project is the third fund is our general operating account. We're required to keep 6 months worth of revenue in that fund, and currently we're holding around 2.8 million in that fund. What we're trying to do with that is we have to keep about 1.2 in reserve at all times, because that's the 6 months of our operating budget. The other monies will be utilized to finish up some of the things that the SPLOSH money can't do in the park and other operations around town, whether it be sidewalks, paving roads, purchasing property for the right-of-way, which we just did last week, and we're just trying to make sure that we use the money properly. That money in the enterprise system is used to reduce the debt for some of the GFA loans and other loans that we have. We just last month, or first of this month, authorized the refinance of one of our bonds that'll save us over $200,000 over the course of the next 15, 20 years. So we try to be fiscally responsible with what we got, but you can't spend it like SPLOSH money on anything but SPLOSH projects. So we work real hard to keep those budgets as flexible and as fluid as we can.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, the state of Georgia only recommends that you keep about 20% of those funds, and the city of Dawsonville, of course, has 100% of those funds, which is very alarming because it is taxpayer money that is sitting dormant there. We can use that to better infrastructure systems such as our water. The residential rate in Dawsonville is growing tremendously, and we need to make sure that the infrastructure and our commercial aspects grow as our residential grows. Now, we can work with Edible Water to upgrade and to expand our current water systems. We can, because our system needs vast upgrading with the residential growth that we have. We can also continue to improve services for our constituents and continue to grow the infrastructure for that. So that money should not be sitting dormant. It is too much to be sitting dormant as it is taxpayer money, and we need to use that to improve the life of our constituents, whether it be upgrading the sewers, more projects, and more services for the people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, not to reiterate some of the same stuff, but there's about $2.8 million in the general reserve right now, and there's about $862,000 worth of things on the books that need to be done now. It's going to come out of that. That's bathrooms for the park. There's some other things in the next phasings of the park that is not going to be took care of out of SPLOSH. So that's going to get you down close to around the $2 million range, which is about 12 months worth of reserves. And in doing the amphitheater and some other projects with sidewalks that we've done told is going to cost in the millions. I don't think there's enough money in reserve now to finish some of the projects that we have. So I think in the next couple of years that money is going to be down to close to 6 months reserve, which is what our policy requires.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
I'll say this, I have not looked at the numbers or anything presented to me. I would rather be careful answering the question, but if I will say this, if there is 100% whatever, like far as projects, one project I'd like to see done is more parking downtown Dawsonville. We'll try to work on that.
Thank you.
Question 3. Advocates of consolidated government purport the efficiency of a combined government. Would you favor the consolidation of our city and county governments? Why or why not? We'll begin with Durant Wright.
I do believe consolidated government is something we should heavily look into. Of course, we would need to conduct a study to see the feasibility of a consolidated government, as well as the structure that we would use in the debt consolidation that would happen whenever the government was consolidated. But in principle, a consolidated government could be good for both city and county residents. A unified government would, of course, equal unified goals. No going back and forth between the city and the county governments. It would also be less bureaucracy, and less regulations. We would have no department duplication, which could lower administrative costs for the city and the county, which could lower property taxes, which is great for everyone in the city and the county. If we have less money to spend on administrative costs, then that money could go back to the taxpayer. We also would not have to negotiate the city's cut of the sales tax, which we have to do every so often. All the funds could be allocated appropriately instead of having the city have a certain amount and the rest be distributed through the county. The money could go where it's needed to go instead of being allocated certain places beforehand. I think it's something we should heavily look into, and I would be a proponent for it if the study goes to show the things that I stated before.
Thank you. Mr. Eason?
Consolidated government is an issue that works in some places, and I think where I've seen it work the best is where the municipality takes up most of the populated or the area of the county. Athens, Clark, Muskogee County, and Columbus, some places like that works. It works in those kind of environments. But what you're seeing now around the country is a trend for counties to be broken up into other governments, where cities are being formed all over the state because they don't like the bureaucracy that the county brings to their community. It gives you what I refer to as home rule. And that's what we've all fought for the Revolutionary War, is home rule. And if you take the city and place it inside the county, and you have to talk to your council, your commissioner, you could be on that back row up there and not be heard. But if you're in the city council, you're talking to the city council member, you're right here on these front rows, and you can be heard. The city does not charge taxes for its residents, no property taxes. We're using the local option sales tax and our other revenue streams to fund the operation of the city. So we're not costing anything, but we are providing services at a lower rate for our businesses, for our residents, for any permits and business license. We're lower than the county. It's easier to get a permit here. We don't have the impact fees that the county has. We work very closely with the county in order to make sure that we don't bump into them, because we don't. We have our jurisdiction, they have theirs, and it works very well the way it is. If the public wanted it, we could do a forum for them and put it on the agenda if they wanted to. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, as of today, I would not support it, but definitely there's especially some people in the county's approached wanting to talk about it, and I'm all for discussion. But I just think, as of today, our water, sewer, and trash rates are cheaper. We have good responsive action to all of our calls. People call in, complain, or want something done, pothole in the road. And I think once you consolidate, you go to a little bit bigger government, and your voice is not heard as much. Right now, the city, anybody in the city can come, and you got a whole city council to talk to. If you consolidate, to me, it's just a bigger government, and your voice is not as loud. And also a smaller government, I think you can manage it a whole lot closer. So I think you can, really watch your money, and it doesn't just everything get thrown in the mix and get lost. So, but I'm definitely willing to talk about it and seeing, what other studies have said.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
I'm totally against for the consolidation. The reason being is Dawson County and Dawsonville always had that small hometown feel that you should be able to approach your elected officials with ease and all that. I understand Dawson County as a whole is growing, same as the city of Dawsonville. I can remember a time when the county only had one sole commissioner, and still in the city of Dawsonville we had mayor and council. With that, I think with the city, with the citizens of Dawsonville, they should be able to. They have a pulse of feel what goes on in the city, which I feel the county doesn't. And at the same token, I'll flip that. I don't think the city, if the roles was reversed, can't really handle what the county's got going on. But at the end of the day, we all should be able, both the city and county, should be able to sit down and talk and work through situations and work together. But as far as consolidating, no, I think I don't think we're there yet. But we should be able to sit down and work together as a team and discuss a lot of the situations that is going on.
Thank you.
Okay, question 4. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges for new and existing city business owners? And what are your plans for addressing these issues? And we'll begin with Mike Eason.
Thank you. Business owners face a number of challenges here in the city of Dawsonville, traffic being one of the biggest ones. Finding a place to park, another one. We do have probably some of the lowest business license fees. We've reduced our commercial water and sewer fees like last month to make it more attractive for them to come into our city. We got a plan. We just had a plan designed for additional downtown parking to allow parking to be developed off Main Street back on the backside over there, where we can provide probably close to 100 parking spaces for citizens to use to get to our businesses. The problem is a lot of the businesses can't get tenants. A lot of the properties can't get tenants because the property is so busy out in front. The right-of-way of each one of those buildings downtown is the right-of-way, is the front of the building. The parking places downtown, we just had a survey done, SDD, Department of Transportation, to authorize us to turn the parking spaces from 90 degree to 60 so people can get in and out easier. And they've just approved that, and we're having that engineered and done now to try to make it easier for customers to get there. We have put a tax incentive corridor in on Highway 53 that we will work with those businesses that developed in that area between 53 and Perimeter coming into town to allow them to have some tax incentives within the city to lower prices and lower costs for them. We're also working closely with Georgia Power and a company called Nextsite, as well as the economic development part of the chamber, to try to enhance and bring new businesses into our community. It's tough for us right now with the traffic the way it is to get people to come downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
Yes, I believe one of the biggest challenges for downtown businesses to thrive is actually getting customers. North Georgia is a tourist hub. Dahlonega gets massive tourism. Helen gets massive tourism. Our county gets massive tourism. The city needs to get its share of the tourism as well, and we need to do things like tax incentives to incentivize businesses to join us on our downtown square while keeping the small town historic feel that it has now. Now, I have a track record of historic preservation and making viable business out of that. In Dahlonega, we have the 1888 House Events Venue, which was an 1800s house that we turned into a viable business while keeping the historic feel that it had. I just think that with businesses downtown, we need to make sure that we can promote tourism. We can take the tourists from the county and find a way to get those people into the city, because the city does not hold its own on tax dollars coming in. The vast majority of the tax dollars coming in comes from the county, so the city needs to incentivize more small businesses to join us in the city limits. So, and I would be a proponent of working with the DDA and doing whatever it takes to get more small businesses into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, I think we have a good infrastructure for some things to get businesses in, but we need to work on some things. There's no impact fees, there's no taxes in the city. Our water and sewer rates and tap fees are cheaper than anywhere around. I think a lot of the problem we have had was our demographics in the past. There's 745 new homes on the books now to be built, plus the ones 300-400 that's been built in the last 2 years. I think in adding people to the city, it's going to help businesses thrive more. And going to some conferences and talking to some business owners about coming to the city, there hasn't been enough people in the city to sustain some of their businesses. And I think we need to continue to work with the DDA for grants, which we've done in the past. The city held an expo this year with the USDA so that people could view loans and grants that would be available to them in the city. And so I think a lot of the new homes coming in is going to help things a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
I think to probably make things more viable is work on our infrastructure even better, but most important, parking. I think that's one thing we want to look into to attract businesses and all that. And that's one thing they look for is, if I put a business here, where my customers want to park and where, if there's an overflow, where can they go? And I think, it's like the old saying, if you build it, they will come. I think if we build the parking, they'll come. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Question 5. A large part of the city's economic viability is supported by tourism such as Atlanta Motor Sports Park, Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, and Dawsonville Moonshine Distillery. If elected, what is your vision of how the city can help local tourism thrive? We'll begin with Durant Wright.
The way we can help the city make tourism thrive is by supplementing those great businesses, those staples of the community, with more businesses that will help attract more customers in. Not only will attract more people in, get the new businesses customers, it will also help the existing businesses on the square by having more people in the vicinity. Atlanta Motorsports Park is, my brother-in-law runs a business out of there. They bring people in all throughout the nation every single month, and they have to bring them to Cumming because there's no business downtown that has lodging. There's nothing for him to do to entertain his clientele for an entire weekend. So what we have to do is work with the DDA to help bring in more businesses, take off the regulations that we have that prevent businesses from thriving on the square. I mean, we have a historic district, but we also have to work with these businesses to help them thrive. And I believe that that's what I would be able to do as your mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. East.
Thank you. The Atlanta Motorsports Park is what we call the hidden gem of Dawsonville because most people don't even know it's out there. Most of the citizens don't. It's an important economic engine for our county as well as our city. And we've worked real close with them to try to bring people in out there. Matter of fact, we're hosting the Georgia Mountain Regional Commission in November out there so we can let everybody know about that facility. The Georgia Racing Hall of Fame and the Moonshine Distillery are high on our radar. We just received today a draft of a floor plan that we're going to be trying to submit a grant to the U.S. Department of Agriculture for a improvement in the conference center at the back. One of the big things we need in the city and the county is a conference center. And we hope we get a grant through the federal government for that. We're in the process of working on that now. Our fees and regulations are somewhat less than most of the other people, the rest of the people in the county. But we have some serious concerns about parking. We just commissioned an engineering study to look at increasing the parking in front of City Hall for about 100 places from about 35 we have now. And that's important, not just for that, but for the park. When we get the park up and running and we start having events there, that's going to bring a lot of people downtown, as we see with our food truck nights on the first Friday night of every month, how many hundreds of people come there. And I think that's going to enhance our community, is to keep working to bring people into our downtown with our sidewalks that they can walk to and providing parking so they can get to our events. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, I think we need to continue to work. These businesses are important to all of us. Just like for the distillery, for instance, we've been working closely with them here lately to help roll back some of the regulations on them so that their business can thrive. We've been working heavily with the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, along with partnership with AMP for the fireworks. And as the mayor stated, we've been in talks about a conference center. Also, it'd be nice to have a newer motel in town. Parking, getting more businesses in town so that all the businesses can kind of feed off each other. It'd be nice to have a nice sit-down restaurant and things like that. So we just need to keep striving to get that done.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
I'm very thankful for the business that we do have downtown Dawsonville, and I think we should continue to work with them, and also probably wouldn't hurt to have meetings with them. Give us some suggestions to hear from the community. To how can we make things better and what areas we can do in, because communication is very important. And I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful with what the city has done so far with the park and everything, and the Moonshine Distillery, and we still got a ways to go, but I think we're heading in the right direction. It's going to take time. It ain't going to happen overnight.
Thank you.
Question 6, final question. We know the city is currently working through the administrative process of taking over the airport that already exists at Elliott Field. Would you continue this process if you were elected? If so, what plans would you put in place to ensure the ultimate success of the project?
Thank you. Yes, Yes, we are working closely with the Elliott family and others up in the area of the airport that has existed since 1984. That's what most people don't understand is this airport's here and it's operating, it's been running for over 30 years. So, you know, what we're looking at now is trying to work with the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, to acquire funding to enhance and improve the runways for safety and to make it a much more viable airport. Now, what people don't realize is if we get this funding, it's restricted by FAA to a certain type of airport. It's called a general aviation airport. Right now, we have a 5,600-foot runway, which is longer than Gainesville or Cherokee and almost any other airport in North Georgia. So we've got the opportunity here to control it and make it a general aviation airport if we work with our Federal Aviation Administration. We want to work closely with it. We want it to be revenue neutral so that the funding from what happens on that airport funds the operation of that airport. We've got a consultant that we've been working very closely with, and it looks like we can make this happen if we can get the FAA funding to do it. We've got right now about 20 planes up there and a number of jets. We've had as many as 50 people wanting to build hangars and put more corporate jets, things like that up there. I think it'll be an economic engine, not just for Dawson County, for our people to locate their businesses here, but surrounding counties like Forsyth County's got a lot of interest in doing it as well. The airport exists now. If we don't control it, it could be bought by a private entity, and then it could become something that we don't want in our area. It could be a larger cargo airport, something like that, if it's not controlled by FAA and by the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
I'm also a supporter of acquiring the airport. I believe that not only would it be great for the city to have that vehicle to bring people in and out, it would also help with tourism, getting more people to enter the city. I do think that, I know Gainesville and Canton also have acquired their airports, and I think it would be a net benefit for our city for us to acquire the airport. I don't know the details on the consultant or what's going on generally with it, but I do agree that that would be a net benefit for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, I'm in favor of the airport. As some of them stated, I believe it'd bring a lot of jobs along with businesses. I mean, I think I could get the paperwork, there's at least 5 businesses that would move there now if the city acquired it. There's also about 60 or 70 planes from mostly Forsyth County and some Dawson County residents that own planes, but there's no airport in Dawson or Forsyth County that they can keep them at, and if the city acquired it, would move their planes. And I think it would be good for tourism, bringing people. There's a lot of people that go to A&P that have planes but cannot fly into Elliott Airfield, that have to fly into Gainesville or somewhere else. So I think it would be good for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Walden?
I'm very for it. I think it'd be a great thing the city of Dawsonville can acquire it. I think it could open a lot of doors. Not trying to repeat what everybody says, but as far as tourism and the business and all that, I think it would be an excellent. I think it'd be a good feather in the cap for the city if we was able to do that.
Excellent. Now we ask each candidate to make their closing statement. You will have 2 minutes for your closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Wright.
To conclude, if I'm elected your mayor, I want to be more than just a figurehead. I want to listen to the ideas and concerns of the citizens. I think that elected officials, of course, work for you, the people, and I think a lot of elected officials forget that in today's day and age. If you have any questions or concerns regarding my campaign or my platforms, feel free to reach out, durantwrightformayor@gmail.com. Look me up on Facebook. I'm an open book, and I would love to interact with any people in the Dawsonville area. Also, if you believe in a Dawsonville that thrives on small businesses for our locals and tourists to enjoy, as well as an open and honest government that's transparent, that not only tells you what they've done, but why they've done it. If you believe in that Dawsonville, I'd appreciate your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eason?
Thank you. Christy, I want to thank you again, the Chamber and the members for putting this forum together. I want to thank the Board of Education again and the news organizations that are present. And I want to thank Mr. Wright, Mr. Phillips, and Mr. Walden for being here with us tonight. I think it's important for the citizens of Dawsonville to hear and see what we think and what's going on in our minds when we're answering these questions very spontaneously, as a matter of fact. I hope you understand that we provided in our answers our positions on many things, but you know, a position is what you know based on what's happening at the moment you have the question. You know, every question has to be researched. Every action you take needs to be thoroughly thought through and not a spontaneous action. This is your opportunity to hear about us and make your decision as a voter. You have an obligation to vote, whether it's for any of us. But that's one of the rights we fought for all of our lives and our families and their lives. And it's important for you to get out and vote. We open the voting on October 14th, and the election is November 5th. So please vote for whoever, and please get out there and do it. My goals in the rest of my term, and if I'm elected again, are going to be to continue with an open and honest government. I want to continue to be fiscally responsible and make people understand what's going on within the city. Continue to update and streamline your city government, because our government was, some of the ordinances and regulations hadn't been touched since the 90s. And we're working to continue to do that. We've got a great staff, and I want to encourage each one of you to think about what we say tonight and then get out and vote on the 14th of October through November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you again to everybody that had a part in putting this on. I encourage everyone to go out and vote. I look forward to serving the citizens again for another 4 years. Just a few things that I hope we can get started on pretty quick, and we have started on, and that's we have a lot of intersections that need improved. 9 and 53, Allen Street at Dairy Queen, getting the next phases of the park going on. Continue pouring sidewalks. We just acquired some land to run the sidewalk from Rain Hill to Shoal Creek Road. And we have a good plan for downtown revitalization, but in order to accomplish that, we have to do something to get the trucks out of town. So at some point we're going to have to address that. And my door's always open. My phone number and email address is on the city website and on your water bill. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wald?
I look forward to serving the citizens of Dawsonville for the next 40 years, and I also look for the challenge, hopefully, to work also with the county too, to sit down and have meetings. Again, I reiterate, communication is the most important thing, and I also want to bring out, most everybody knows I work for an engineering firm and all that, and I will say this, that if any plans that comes before the city of Dawsonville, that the company that I work for, I will recuse myself, and I will try not to have no influence what goes on, because I believe in integrity and all that, and I will not try to, influence nothing, but I will be more glad to answer any question about the job, but I will not vote or try to take any part of that. But saying that, my door's open. If anybody want to ask me any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm pretty much easy to find. And also, I enjoyed the time when I was with the city. I was on the DDA and also on the Planning Commission, and now I'm here. But I ask everybody, please pray for me, and everybody have a great afternoon. And also, thank you, Chamber, for having us here in this facility here, and thank everybody for showing up.
Thank you. If y'all please join me in a round of applause for our candidates and our panelists, and for the Chamber Advocacy Committee for putting this evening together. I would be remiss if I did not mention that in addition to the City Council candidates here with us this evening who will be on the ballot in November, there will also be an East Bluffs referendum on the ballot as well. All Dawson County residents, including city residents, will be able to vote on the referendum, and the Chamber does encourage you to come out and vote yes to support East Bluffs so that we can continue to build beautiful facilities like the one that we're in this evening, as well as provide improved opportunities for our county students. A few quick reminders before we head home. The last day to register to vote is October 7th, so please help us spread the word. We'd like everyone to be registered to vote. Advanced voting begins Monday, October 14th. You can vote Monday through Friday at the Dawson County Board of Elections from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. That's right here in the city, across from the cemetery. And then Election Day is November 5th. You can view this forum on the Chamber's YouTube page, and we will also put it up on our Facebook page, which you can find at Dawson County Chamber. We ask you to encourage everyone you know to come out and to vote for candidates that you believe support the needs and issues of our local business community. Thank you for coming out this evening.